Am I the a-hole for ending my marriage because I didn't want to force my kids to live with my wife's oldest daughter again? My wife and I, both in our 30s, are parents to 5 kids between us. I have 2 kids, 15 and 13, with my late wife, and my wife has 3, a 16-year-old daughter with her ex-boyfriend, and 2 more kids, 10 and 7, with her late husband. We've been married for 4 years and were together for 2 years prior. When we met, she shared custody of her oldest daughter with her ex, and after we had been married a little while, some problems started to surface. Family members suspected the daughter stealing from them while there and talked about her having an attitude. Then I noticed money was missing a couple of times, but we never had proof of who it was. However, my wife's ex would mention something new their daughter had bought because she was such a good saver, which was not what we had experienced at all. She was someone who spent what she got the second she got it, unless someone put a stop to it. Her dad was never someone who would do this. He was always the opposite from what I can tell. Then she started being more blatant about disrespect and stealing, and a little over a year after we were married, her dad petitioned the courts to move out of state for work and take her with him. My wife fought against it, but her oldest wanted to go, and the judge weighed that in their decision and allowed her ex to take their daughter, but ordered that he be responsible for paying for every visit to us. It was during her visits that she got worse about stealing. She'd wait until she was leaving and took things that were small enough not to be missed immediately. One instance included my 15-year-old's Nintendo Switch, or at least some parts of the Switch, which she had mentioned were broken on her own Switch at her dad's house. Other things were missing after she'd leave too. My wife replaced the stuff her oldest took, but after the Switch incident, which wasn't too long ago, I told my wife we needed to figure something out, because I didn't want my kids dealing with that. I said I had a duty to think of them first. While we were talking it out, her daughter asked if she could come live with us for good during her summer visit. My wife immediately said yes, and she was excited. I was not. She said we could nip it in the bud now. Other families said it wouldn't be that easy because there had been suspicion since she was 7, and she was getting worse. I agreed with them, but I told my wife I understood she had a duty to her daughter like I had to my kids. She said it wouldn't be so bad, and we'd figure it out. I told her I didn't believe that was possible, and I said I would move out with my kids. She asked me to at least talk to my kids first and see if they'd mind, but we both knew their stance already. My son said after the Switch incident that he didn't want to have to see her again. My wife told me we needed to work this out because her younger 2 couldn't lose me. I said I felt awful about that, but I wasn't going to make my kids live with her older daughter. My wife said I had the same duty to all 5, and that if I had such a problem with her daughter's behavior, I should stay and help fix it instead of running. I told her I was not willing to lose my kids over her oldest, and that I would stay in the lives of the younger 2 if that's what they wanted and she would allow, but it was clear we could not make this work. My kids were so relieved when we moved out, so I knew I made the right choice. They admitted they expected her to steal all kinds of stuff from them if we stayed. I filed for divorce a couple of weeks after the kids and I moved out. My wife has tried and failed to get me back. Her oldest lives there now, and she said we never really tried to work something out. I told her there was nothing to work out when I was clear about what I would not do. She told me the youngest 2 are the biggest sufferers because both dads chose to leave them, and how was she supposed to explain to them that their second dad put his bio kids before them? She has tried to convince me several times to call off the divorce and make a go of being a family again, but I refuse. Does that make me the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She's trying to guilt trip you for being a good dad to your children when she failed as a mother. Take care of your children. They are lucky to have you. The guilt trip bothered me. I love the kids, but they have her. My kids only have me, and I could not sacrifice them to be there for my stepkids. No, she put her oldest before the other 2. She made the choice to violate the boundaries of you and your kids. You didn't choose to leave the other 2 kids. She made that choice. Explain that to the kids with your wife present. By the way, she will try to spin it that you gave her an invalid ultimatum. Just to be clear, she didn't make this choice recently. She chose to abandon her younger kids by not being a parent to the older one when she was younger. Had she dealt with the behavior issues, stealing is rarely the only issue. I bet there is more you haven't shared. It would not have reached this point. She did have an awful attitude as well. That was something that really developed over time. More recently, she has denied having siblings at all because her parents don't have more kids together. There are potentially things I don't know about as well, but there were more and more complaints from others. Your ex-wife chose a thief over the security of your children. She had years to address the stealing problem, but insisted on burying her head in the sand. Now she is living with the consequences of her choice. I am betting her children are now the ones being stolen from. I hope your children now feel safe in their new home. Not the a-hole. My kids are enjoying our new place. They don't even mind a smaller house because it's just us, so that alone says so much. I hate that they were ever stolen from in the first place. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend to man up and parent his ungrateful son? So I, 35 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 40 male, for a while now. He has a 19-year-old son from a previous marriage. I'll be honest, the kid rubs me the wrong way most of the time. He comes across as selfish, entitled, and really ungrateful, especially when it comes to his mom. Here's some context. My boyfriend and his ex divorced when the boy was 8. The mom became the primary parent. My boyfriend provided financially, but he's the first to admit he wasn't fully present. From what I've heard, his ex was a bit of a helicopter mom, maybe strict, but nothing truly extreme or abusive, just typical overbearing parenting. The son has told us that after the divorce, his mom worked a lot, and he spent most of his time with his grandpa. She's a teacher who also does Uber Eats, DoorDash, Spark, etc. to support her lifestyle. She likes nice things, vacations, etc., but she's always made sure her son had the best. He's been well taken care of his whole life. Recently, though, things got really rough for her. In just over a month, she lost her mother, lost her husband, and had to undergo a hysterectomy. It's been a brutal time for her. Despite this, every time we see the son, he's complaining about her. Not cleaning enough, how depressed she seems, how he and his girlfriend have had to help clean her house, 3 times mind you, and how he doesn't want to deal with it anymore. At dinner a month ago, I finally snapped and told him flat out that he was being incredibly ungrateful. I reminded him that this woman raised him, took care of him when he was sick, and took him on vacations. I told him that now he needs to be there for her and help lift her back up. It got kind of tense, but nothing too dramatic. Fast forward to now, we're about to have another dinner with him this coming Friday, and I told my boyfriend he needs to step up and talk to his son. I said he needs to tell him to stop whining and show some damn compassion for his mother. My boyfriend's response? I don't want to say anything that will upset him. I don't know the whole story. What if he snaps back? I got really frustrated and told him he needed to man the heck up and be a father. I said, you have no problem confronting me when you think I'm out of line, but you won't say anything to your kid? Be a damn parent already. Later that night, my boyfriend told me he felt anxious and asked me for a hug. I did hug him, and yeah, I felt bad. Maybe I came in too hot, but I still don't think I was wrong in what I said. So, am I the a-hole for how I handled this? Not the a-hole. Were you harsh? Sure. But it was fully warranted. Crazy how you care about this woman you have no real connection to. Meanwhile, she carried this man's child, raised the child, and neither of them are in her corner. It hurts my mom heart. I can't stand it. And you know Sonny didn't clean crap. I bet his girlfriend did the cleaning while he's supervised. Also, does he live with his mother? If so, he needs to clean regularly and contribute to the household chores. He's 19. If he doesn't like it there, he should move out and pay for his own damn place. He lives between his mom's home and with his girlfriend in her mom's home, and his girlfriend is just as cold as him. She was sitting at the table as he spilled all this BS, supporting his every word. Have you ever asked yourself where the son learned to talk about his mother that way? Her late husband was not the best husband. In fact, just 2 months before his passing, she had asked him for a divorce after 11 years of marriage. Words from the kid himself, he did witness some instances of verbal disagreements between them. Meanwhile, his actual dad was where? Sounds like your boyfriend is the primary reason this kid is messed up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for filing for 15 years of back child support? Alright, I need to know if I would be the a-hole. I, 40 female, am white. This is relevant. I have 2 daughters with my ex, 49 male, who is Navajo and lives on the reservation. We split up because he almost ended me while drunk when my youngest was 10 months old. In all that time, I never asked for child support. He had said if I did, he would take my kids and move to the reservation, where I would not be able to easily get them back. This was confirmed by a friend I had at the time who worked for the Bureau of Indian Affairs. In the last 15 years, he has not given me a penny to help raise our daughters. He would occasionally show up with gifts, but never provided any steady support. Our youngest is 16 and heading to college in 2 weeks. We are waiting on a decision for financial aid from the Navajo Nation, but in the meantime, her classes need to be paid for. I tried to co-sign a student loan for her, but because of a repossession that occurred during my divorce, I was denied. I asked her dad to co-sign, letting him know that the loan doesn't come due until 6 months after she graduates medical school in 10 years, and that if the Navajo funding comes through, the school will reimburse the money, and it would be immediately paid back. He said he would fill it out, but has not. We currently need to pay around $17,000 to keep her in classes past December. I am determined to figure out how to pay this, regardless of the financial strain it puts on me. One way of doing that, and ultimately forcing him to help, would be to file for 15 years of back child support. Would I be the a-hole for filing so that our daughter can get the education she deserves? Some backstory on her. She graduated high school 2 years early with a 4.2 GPA and is going to school to become a trauma surgeon. She is very driven and deserves to go to college without having to worry about finances. Now for the top comments. That thread about taking them to the reservation is pretty hollow now that she's 16. He got a free ride for 15 years. Time for him to actually contribute to his own kid's future. Not the a-hole. If you had gone after him for child support back then, and he failed to pay because he was, let's say, working under the table, then when the kids turned 18 and he thought he was free and clear to finally get a tax-paying job, they would still take the back child support out even though the kids are over 18 and send the money to you. So why can't you file after all this time? Not the a-hole. I honestly don't know if they still do this or if it varies from state to state. I just know that about 15 years ago, this is exactly what happened to my sister. She was surprised that when her youngest turned 18 and her kid's dad got a tax-paying job, she started receiving back child support from him. Of course, he quit and started working his under-the-table jobs again. The point is, child support is still owed no matter how many years have passed. I'd talk to the chief of the tribe. Seriously, the chief is the moral backbone of the tribe and therefore can advocate for you. He should have an email online for the tribe's website, maybe even a phone number. I will have to look that up. My only concern is that his dad is a medicine man and well known on the reservation, so I don't know if that could affect their decisions. Your children are Navajo. Child support is not about their mother. The kids are members of the nation. Won't the tribal leadership want what is right for the children of the tribe? Child support is justice. Their father's place in the tribe should only reinforce their commitment to supporting your Navajo children. We don't have chiefs in Navajo culture. We have respected elders, and within our own families, matriarchs who traditionally have been the ones to offer guidance and advice. The tribal leadership or governance is a bureaucratic entity that was established to negotiate treaties and economic matters. I seriously doubt that a chapter house or tribal government could be compelled to intervene in any matter unless OP files a lawsuit in tribal court. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad's wife she screwed her kid out of grandparents? So I, 20 female, have a dad who is with his affair partner, Laura. He and Laura have a kid, Lucy, 13 female. Lucy was conceived after my dad, and Laura had already been together for a while. Her birth wasn't the reason my parents split, in case anyone is wondering. Obviously, my dad's family knew about the affair once my parents split, and they banned Laura from ever attending family events. To this day, the only people on that side of the family who have met her are me and my one cousin, who stayed with me at my dad's for a few days once. My grandparents told Dad they'd be happy to be active in Lucy's life, but it would have to be Dad who facilitated the relationship, meaning he'd have to bring her to see them alone. Laura said no. I guess she thought eventually she'd force herself into the family through Lucy, but all it did was meant no one ever met Lucy. My dad would take me to my grandparents' or aunt's place without Laura and Lucy, and that was just how it went. Well, it recently came up that my grandparents are giving me money toward buying an apartment when I graduate, which set Laura off. She's always been bitter that my grandparents financed my schooling while my dad paid for university. She was passive-aggressively grumbling at the dinner table that this is why she felt we could have asked them to pay for my university, and that it would be nice if Lucy got to have grandparents, but some people are petty and cruel. I looked at my dad like, are we really playing that game? But he didn't say anything. Then Laura turned to Lucy and said, you should know none of this is your fault. Life isn't fair, and you got the short end of the stick with certain family members. So I just said, yeah, the short end of the stick family member is you, Laura. Lucy could have had the same relationship with my grandparents that I do, but you were so selfish that you screwed your own kid out of that. Laura argued that no one who hated her could have a relationship with her daughter, so I was like, well, what are you mad about then? That your principals ended up sabotaging your kid? Maybe that's on you. At this point, my dad was giving me a death stare, so I just went back to my food. Laura sent me a text later that night about how much she didn't appreciate me saying that in front of her child, and that it was her prerogative how she managed that relationship. She also said my dad's family are cruel and vindictive. I didn't reply, and honestly, the only reason I don't have her blocked is in case my dad is suddenly taken ill. But now my dad is saying it's caused issues at home because Lucy is finally grasping that Laura is the one who wouldn't allow her to have a relationship with Dad's side, and she's now apparently pretty mad about it. He's saying the way I went at Laura was inappropriate in front of a child, and that Lucy shouldn't have heard all that, but I think she only heard it because her mother was retconning reality. I didn't mean to cause an issue between Lucy and Laura, but honestly, I do feel like Laura was asking for it by acting like an idiot in front of someone who knew the whole story. Edit, just to clarify. No, my dad's family didn't immediately forgive him. For a long time, they only invited him to things if he brought me during his custody time. But time heals most things. They all still think he's a prick, but honestly, I'm sure they thought that before. No, they haven't totally cut him out, because we're just not that kind of family. But Laura was never a family to start with, so it's way easier to never make her acquaintance than to cut out your blood relative you've known for 40 years. I think that's fairly obvious. I'm not mad that Laura set the boundary she did, and I'm not mad my parents got divorced. I got mad that Laura set a totally fair boundary that my dad went along with, not saying he's blameless, he's just not the one actively complaining, and then tried to pretend the consequences of said boundary shouldn't have happened. If you don't want your kid around people who don't like you, understandable, why are you whining that they're not around for your kid? Not the a-hole. She's 13, and it's better she knows her mom was the issue and not her child self. I wouldn't be surprised if she starts asking you for hard truths going forward, because her mom spins things so she's always the victim. I assume Lucy knows her mom was an affair partner initially. Can't imagine the fantasy her mom spun about them being destined and nothing, not even a wedding ring, could stop their love. It sucks the rest of the family cut her loose to avoid her mother. She's innocent. And too many kids end up ostracized with this kind of thing when they should have saved the rage and freeze out for the actual guilty parties. I honestly couldn't answer this. I barely see Lucy and Lara. I presume she does? I remember I threatened to tell her when I was like 14, but I never did. Obviously, she was way younger then. She probably knows now.